Good morning. And that clip you just played is very important because there is a core of Republicans who just have hated Obamacare, want to, from a philosophical point of view, significantly reduce the federal role in health care in terms of subsidies for insurance, in terms of regulations. It's a free market philosophy, but there are many other Republicans who say the expansion of Obamacare has been very helpful to their states and very helpful to their voters, including many who voted for Donald Trump. It's very easy to campaign around the country on a slogan, repeal Obamacare. But Republicans are finding it's much harder to come up with a consensus package to replace it.
You know, President Trump over the weekend indicated that it's very, very tough to get health care. And that's no surprise to anybody that's ever tried to address this issue before. But it's becoming more difficult to find common ground between the Republican senators to get this bill passed, isn't it?
Well, that's right, because, look, the Republican senators as a majority span a wide variety of states, a wide variety of interests. Just take one example. 31 states, including many with Republican governors, accepted the expansion of Medicaid under Obamacare. 11 million people benefited from that change. And you have Republican governors in states like Ohio, Governor Kasich, and Nevada, Governor Sandoval, saying, wait, this is not just a philosophical issue like Rand Paul was expressing. Well, we got to reduce the size of government intervention in healthcare. We got to return to free market. These governors saying, wait, the world looks very different from a state capital. We're talking about the practical impact on real people, real families, and we want to retain the federal role. So there's a very basic difference, not only between conservatives and moderates, but between people like governors who actually have to be responsible for running a state, and senators like Rand Paul, who are only responsible for making speeches, not making decisions.
I mean, that's a great point, Steve. These folks coming up, some moderates that have elections coming up in 2018, these are crucial votes for them, aren't they?
There are. Now, the way the landscape looks is really only one Republican senator with any real political problems in 2018. That's Senator Dean Heller of Nevada, who has already said that he really doesn't like this bill and probably would vote against it. And as I mentioned, Governor Sandoval, very popular Republican governor in Nevada, has been one of the leading exponents among Republican governors of defending the expansion of Medicaid under Obamacare. So Heller has been under great pressure from his own governor to oppose this bill. Now, conservative groups are actually running ads against Heller from the right, saying he is abandoning the conservative principles of opposing Obamacare. But from a larger political point of view, it's not just 2018. You look at a number of Republican senators from states that are equally balanced and evenly balanced. And you look at Senator Portman of Ohio, to take another good example. You have Governor Kasich of Ohio, like Governor Sandoval of Nevada, saying, wait, this has a very benefit. This Obamacare has been very helpful to our states, covered a lot of people. The other thing to keep your eye on is that three of the more moderate, pragmatic Republicans who are opposed or potential opposition to this bill are women. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia. They object to the funding of Planned Parenthood in this bill, but in a larger sense, they point out that Medicaid, a lot of the Medicaid coverage is of children and young families. And as Senator Collins said, this bill takes away coverage of some of the most vulnerable families in America. And these three women senators, particularly sensitive to the impact on mothers and their kids of this bill. And this could be a critical factor in jeopardizing the Republican legislation.
What is the future, on a broader sense, of the Republican Party? There seems to be a real rift now between what people would call moderates and more conservatives. And can that ever be repaired?
Sure. Look, this is not a new story. And in fact, these rifts are in both parties. In the Republican Party, there's no doubt that the dominating philosophy in recent years has been the hardcore conservative base of the party. But the moderate wing or pragmatic wing has shrunk, and you have relatively few senators like Susan Collins of Maine but they're still there. And with the Senate, Republicans only having 52 votes in the Senate, they can exert a lot of leverage. So those differences are there. But you also have to remember that every Republican, moderate, conservative, pragmatist, has a common vested interest in being successful, in keeping their promises to the electorate, in seeing President Trump succeed. Even if they didn't like Trump, even if they didn't support him in the primaries, all Republicans, on some basic way, are tied to Donald Trump's success. That gives him a lot of leverage. And so it would, no matter how many problems this bill has, and they are very significant. Senator Schumer, the Democratic leader, said yesterday, look, there's still a 50-50 chance this bill could pass. And that's probably correct, because you've got to remember, in the end, most Republicans want to support the president and want to vote for this bill.
It's going to be a fascinating week. Steve Roberts, ABC News political analyst, thank you for joining us.